Okay, so today we're going to talk about a new species of snakes that I just got from the Midwest Reptile Show. And this is it right here. This is the California king snake. Now this is a member of the Calubide family. And it's a pretty common snake out in that range on the western U.S. by Baught, California, and Oregon, and like Arizona and stuff. It's kind of a semi-desert snake. Not so much of like the desert, but it's like where you find like a lot of rocky outcroppings, but a lot of plants too. Because the primary food source is mice and stuff. But a really cool fact about these guys is they can eat venomous snakes, and they're immune to the snake venom. So these guys would eat a rattlesnake and could get bit by it and would not even die from it. And that's actually a big part of the diet is venomous snakes, like rattlesnakes. And so that's where they get the name the king snake from, which is pretty tight. This guy pretty much can eat any other snake or any other prey he wants. If it fits down his mouth, he can eat it. And they're pretty strong and agile snake. They're not such good climbers like the relative to the rat snake, but they're really quick and really strong just the same. And they're constrictors, which means that they're not venomous, or they don't just swallow it, they're constricted, so they can't breathe. And actually, if you see it kill a rattlesnake, what they do is they have to go for the rattlesnake's head. And so you'll see the two snakes like this, and the rattlesnake will always try to turn his head and run away. And this guy will try to get in front of it and bite it. Ooh, my bad, buddy. And bite it right on the head, and it'll just start swallowing it and constrict it. It's pretty tight though. And so this is a female king snake right here. And normally females in this family also get bigger than the males. I actually have the opposite. My male is bigger than the female. But the mating process is pretty tight, and what happens is the male will bite the female on the back of the neck right about here just to control her, and he'll wrap his tail around her tail, and you actually see him start to jerk like this, and that's how you know that she's kind of starting to mate. And how the male knows that she's ready is in the spring when they come out of hibernation, she'll shed, and right after she sheds that first time, she lets a pheromone go that basically says, I'm ready to mate, and the male comes and looks for her. And of course, you've probably seen videos somewhere about like the battles between the males for the brides. You see the heads wrapped around each other, be pushing each other. Just it's pretty tight. Now this is a pretty common pattern for the California king snake. Just a black with white. Now I guess it's white on with the black blotches, but the belly's pretty much the same pattern. You can see it's got two little like stripes that come onto the belly that make it look like one. Now if you look at the bottom of the head, some of them have it's like solid black around the neck, and some of them, like this guy, have white. And there's actually a few other patterns, variations to this, and in some different parts of the range they could be brown, and they have brown blotches with yellow stripes. Which I guess technically are stripes. I keep saying stripes. They have a yellow background, brown blotches. And there's actually even more around it, even more varied, where they have actually body length stripes, which is pretty tight. And those would be brown and yellow. But you can see they kind of have a crown too on the head. Just that big black blotch right there. Kind of makes it look like a crown, like I'm a king snake. So I guess technically this is a queen snake, this is a female. And actually with this guy, I have to be careful not to touch other snakes before I touch it, because it is cannibalistic and will eat other snakes and my other pets that I have. So I have to wash my hands just so it doesn't smell that and bite me thinking I'm its prey. It's a really cool snake though. And a lot of times they're found around vegetation, under rocks, under logs, just around rocky outcroppings. They like deserts, like semi-deserts, as I said, prairies. There's a lot of places where there has to be a lot of rocky outcroppings. That's what these guys to be there. Now in Indiana, we actually have a couple king snakes. We have the black king snake, which is a pretty solid black with a bunch of white dots and speckles all along like the bottom half of the body. And then we have the prairie king snake, which resembles a milk snake a lot. And like my first time I called it milk snake, I actually thought it was a prairie king snake. But the way you can tell is the difference on the anal plate, which is right here. One's divided and one's single. But that's all the king snakes we have. And those guys will feed on the timber rattlers we have and the copperheads and all other kind of rat snakes and everything. So king snakes are pretty much at the top of the diet in the snake family. And this is the male king snake, which I just got. And I was saying before, this guy is bigger than the female. You can probably see the difference right there. He's a heavier and longer snake. But normally the female is bigger than the male. It's a pretty cool snake still. And unlike the female, you can see on the belly here that he really doesn't have those stripes that the female have but he does have that on the bottom of his neck. He has the black thing I was talking about. It's like a big black blotch right there. But it's a pretty cool snake still. And king snakes and all, they're not very aggressive or anything. I mean, these are pets, so they're never going to be aggressive in the wild. Most of the time when you walk up on them, what they do is they'll coil up and they try to stick their head inside the body. So because when the king snake eats rattlesnakes, like I said, they go for the head. And so these guys just have a habit to coil up and protect their face. But they will bite if handled in the wild. And they actually do what a lot of snakes do, and take the tail and vibrate in the leaves. So it sounds like a rattlesnake or something. But they're a pretty cool snake. And actually these snakes are viviparous, which means that they lay eggs, opposed to like the venomous ones that give live birth. And these guys go into hibernation pretty much in October. I was struggling through the months there. I was like late October is most of the time where these things are pretty much all in hibernation. And they come out early April, around April sometime. Most of the time it's early April. And the mate, as I was saying before, the female will shed, let the scent out, and this guy will follow the scent to her. And the battles for the females. These guys right here will put on a fight for the females. It's a big fight. They'll wrap their heads around each other and be pushing one way and pushing the other way. And they can last for a long time. Just for the prize of being able to have mate with that female. This is a cool snake though. If you look in the head, this is a really, really cool snake. It kind of has that cobra looking head, but obviously it doesn't flare out his neck like they do. But it's a really cool snake. It's just got these big blotches on it. And if you ever look really, really close, the edge of the blotches look a little bit darker than the middle, but it's not really noticeable from a distance. But they're always going to have a lighter background with dark blotches, or a lighter background with darker stripes going down. Which is just, so if you see one like that, you know what it is. And these guys have a single anal plate, which is another key way to tell them apart when snakes, because like I said before about the milk snake and prairie snake, you really can't tell them apart. That's the easiest way to do it, is just look at the plate right here, which is where they go to the bathroom and everything. But it's just, it'll be divided, it'll be two, it'll be one. And this guy only has one. This is a pretty cool snake though, the constrictors, and they just pretty much on top of the snake food chain. And they're actually not very good climbers. Unlike the rat snakes and stuff, you won't really find these guys up in trees. Most of the time they're going to be on the ground.